entrepreneurs. Today's lecture is about tax agent. Well, sometimes you need to appoint a tax agent in Japan, but when do you need to appoint a tax agent? Today's lecture is about your agent. So what is a tax agent? Tax agent is, appointed by the taxpayers when the taxpayer is in overseas. For example, if you need to file tax returns in Japan, but you are not in Japan, so somebody have to, process the filing and the payment on behalf of yourself. That is called the tax agent. So they file the tax return, file the application, and do the communication with the tax office. That's the agent. So for like when do you need a tax agent? There are several cases you have to appoint a tax agent. Basically, you are living in overseas. You're not staying in Japan. And then, for example, if you have a real estate income in Japan, you have to file the tax returns because that is Japan's source income. And if you inherit any asset in Japan, you have to pay the inheritance asset. It depends on how much you inherited. And if you own the real estate in Japan, your real estate is subject to the local taxes, like fixed asset tax. And the fourth case is, even though you do not have any place of permanent establishment in Japan, if you sell the product in Japan, that is subject to the consumption tax. And if the taxable sales of the second preceding year is exceeding 10 million Japanese yen, you are subject to pay the consumption tax. So in that case, you have to appoint somebody in Japan to become a tax agent to file your consumption tax return. So I want to show the two cases regarding the tax agent. For example, you have the salary incomes and also you have the real estate income in Japan, and you're living in Japan, and your company asks you to go overseas for more than 1 year. In that case, if you do not appoint the tax agent, you have to file a tax return before you're leaving Japan, before the date of the departures. But if you appoint the tax agent, the filing deadline will become the March 15th of the next year, which is like the regular filing deadline. So I want to highlight the important point for the tax agent. Tax agent does not have to be a tax accountant. So anyone can be a tax agent. Like you can ask your spouse, and you can ask your friends, and you can ask your families. But important things is tax agent is not, they just handle the administrative work. The preparing the tax return, the tax agent tax agent is not preparing the tax return, because preparing the tax return on behalf of the others is only allowed to the tax accountant like me. Thank you for listening to today's lectures, and see you next time. Thank you for watching my videos. I will make more and more useful videos this year too. So please subscribe, and see you next time. Bye bye.